Hello, it's Bailey and welcome back to my channel. It's time to talk about my favorite books of 2024. I am going to give you a top 10. This was the worst reading year I've had, like, maybe ever. The dog was barking outside and I had to go let him back in the house so he would not do that. But my average rating for the year was a 3.5, and I would really prefer my average ratings be higher than that. I didn't even have 10 new books that were 5 stars this year, so I have one that is a 4.5. I did have some really solid rereads in 2024, but I don't generally use rereads as favorites of the year. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and get into this list. I'm not going to be too descriptive. I'm not going to explain books or like give huge reasons. I'll say what I want. That's generally how I do things anyway. But the 4.5 that I included on the list was Funny Story by Emily Henry. And I'm including this one. Well, I did love it and gave it 4.5 stars. I'm especially including it and wanting to remember it as a favorite because a video that you never got to see was that Chris and I actually read this together on a trip to visit his family this summer, and you never saw it because we got back from the trip and Chris had like maybe 50 pages left and never actually finished the book. But I chose this as the book for us to read together this year because I had heard so much about how the main character in this book acted so much like Nick from New Girl, and New Girl is one of like the first shows that Chris and I watched together. We watch a lot of shows but not together, and that's one definitely that like is a favorite of ours and we both enjoy and think is funny. And so that's how I pitched this to him, and he was like, yeah, I'd be interested in reading that. And so we did it, and he was really liking it also, but it was a good fun time. I also think that Emily Henry kind of stalled for me and for many other people with her last 2 releases, and so this was definitely a good comeback and has me re-excited about Emily Henry. In the 9th spot, I have Where the Crawdads Sing by Delia Owens. This is mostly making it here as like a most surprising. This definitely had to have been an option as an unhaul. Every time I looked at my shelves, I just was like, I don't know if this is gonna be for me. It was obviously really hyped, and then there was a TV show, movie made about it, and so people were talking about it a couple years ago, and then I also heard some controversy about it, but I finally picked it up and I did end up loving it. And so if you have also let this title pass you by, I definitely do recommend it, and I had such a good time. Like I said, it almost feels better to not have high expectations of something and then end up like absolutely loving it than when you're already like hyped for something and it's like, yeah, that's what I expected. The surprised feeling I really, really love. And I had that same surprised feeling with the book I put at number 8, which is The Prince of Broadway by Joanna Shupe. This is the 2nd book in this series, and the first book I thought was just okay. And then getting to this one, I absolutely loved it. This is a historical romance, and the male love interest is a casino owner, and he kind of has a rivalry with our female protagonist's dad, but our female protagonist is trying to get into the casino business and open like an all-female casino, so she's kind of trying to learn the tricks of the trade while also like clearly they're falling in love. It's a romance, and I really ended up loving this one. And again, the surprised feeling of not having high expectations after not loving the first book and then getting to this and being like, actually I love every minute of this, was a good feeling. In the number 7 spot, I have Forever Wild by K.A. Tucker. I think this is the 3rd book in the series, don't quote me on that. But overall, this series is just so highly rated for me because of atmosphere and also the surrounding cast of characters. There's an old man, grumpy neighbor character in this series that I'm so obsessed with. And in this specific book, there was a lot going on with him. I obviously love and adore our couple. I do think it's interesting. You don't see very many series that like the whole romance series is actually following the same couple and then just like the next chapter in their lives. And I honestly kind of enjoy that that's what this series is. So I've been pleasantly surprised as I've continued on through this series that I'm still like loving each one. So it has to be up there for me. Then at number 6, I have Reckless by Elsie Silver, which is probably my favorite book in this series. I think on last year's list, I maybe had some Elsie Silvers higher on my list of favorites, but this one just makes me blush. This one is they're all like cowboy country romances, but in this one, our male character and our protagonist kind of have a one-night stand, and like sexual tension is high, okay? And they hook up and then she doesn't see him again, but it's surprise pregnancy. So she has this baby, she tries to like reach out to him and say, hey, this is happening, and she gets a response that's really cold. And so she's like, okay, he doesn't want anything to do with this. And then we find out that it wasn't actually him who received the message, and as he finds out that this is the thing and she thinks what she thinks of him, or like thought that that was his response, he proves everything wrong. And what a baby daddy, you know? So this one is so fun. If you haven't started the Chestnut Springs series yet, I definitely recommend it. I do think the first one is not my like favorite in the series, but the second one is probably my second favorite in the series. So like if you even mildly can get into the first one, push on to the second one. The rest of the series is so good. I just think it depends on like what tropes you enjoy. In the number 5 spot, I put Looking for Jane by Heather Marshall, and this one was actually a Shelf This book club pick, and it was chosen by Elsa. And I think most of us loved the book that month. It's a historical book basically about underground abortion clinics, and just like if there is not access, how would women get access? And then I also think this book did perfectly. I've read like so many other books that have tried to like thread together characters and storylines and timelines that just can't do it like this one. I loved how everything and everybody kind of connected in the end, and also the message that this book was putting out there. So I haven't seen a lot of hype about this book, and I really loved it, and everybody else in the book club also seemed to love it. So if you haven't read Looking for Jane yet, it was wonderful. At number 4, I have my favorite nonfiction of the year, which was The Other Significant Others by Raina Cohen. And this is a nonfiction book about friendship and like dedicated friendship and choosing friendship as like partners for a lifetime, like really committing to friendship. This gave excellent examples of people who have chosen to live their lives with a friend, and also like what those different relationships can look like, and also that you can choose a friend to be your parenting partner, and you can choose your friend to be your housemate and confidant, and that the significant others romantically that we choose do not have to be the end all be all. And so I really enjoyed this. Like I said, I think this gave excellent examples, and many examples of like, hey, people really are doing this and it works, and it may be hard to explain to other people, but it can be beautiful. And we don't just need one person, or we don't just need that one dedicated person to be a romantic partner. So loved this one. We are in top 3 territory, and my number 3 book of the year was Yours Truly by Abby Jimenez. There's a caveat that Abby Jimenez is somewhat local to me, and so a lot of her settings just like really feel like home. Even like towns she names are like real towns that I know where they are, and so it does give a little bit of like sense of home, and the characters also give like just people I know, you know, people act like this in this area. But I also just think that her books, this one and Part of Your World, are the only 2 I've read, but both of them just give like such a fun, almost silly vibe, even when it is serious topics. Like, it's something I just really enjoy reading. I also absolutely loved the like leaving letters aspect of this, aka why it's called Yours Truly. They're like writing letters back and forth at work. It's a workplace romance. They're writing letters back and forth. It's fake dating. It's pitched as rivals to lovers, but it's like, that's fake. But yeah, I really super love this one. I'm excited to get to the next one in this series, and I'm all around just excited for whatever Abby Jimenez is doing next. Since I've discovered her, I just can't get enough. I want to keep going. In my number 2 spot, I have Heartstopper Volume 5. I did finally read this and finish it. Finally, I read it in like January, not long after it came out. But I have been anticipating this for a very long time. And so I did think that this volume really stepped it up for me from the last 2 volumes. It felt like the natural progression of what our main character's like love story needed. And yeah, I just really, really loved this one. Again, it was like I loved volume 1 and 2, and then 3 and 4 kind of dipped for me. And this just really felt like it came back up in my ratings with number 5. So loved this one. If you haven't read Heartstopper, like the series as a whole is a 5-star series for me. These are amazing. I don't know what you're doing if you haven't picked these up. And now, my number 1 book of the year. If you know what I read this year and loved, this was at the end of the year when I wasn't really on BookTube, like I wasn't posting anything, so you may not know that I read this, but this is a book that I did not think I was going to like. And then as I started it, I was like, I think I like this. And then I was like, uh-oh, I think I love this. And that book is Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros. I really did not think this was going to be for me. I didn't think Romantasy would be for me. I didn't think this book would be for me. But there was something about the readability of like the writing style that really got me. I really did like it. I do think that I'm going to take a break and not immediately read the sequels. I think I'll wait until like these first 3 are out in paperback and then read all 3, like read this one again and read the next 2. But yeah, I loved it and I love her, and it's my favorite book of 2024. Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros. I still want to be like, I can't believe I'm that girl, but here I am. I'm that girl. Some people trash this, but we know that everybody loves it, and I don't know. My mind was like, nope, it's gonna be trash because people say it's trash, but I am the trash. So those are my top 10 books of 2024. I am hoping for a better reading year in 2025. These are the cream of the crop. I'm not saying that these were bad. These were my favorites, but behind these, number 11 to number 102, could have been better. So let's hope for that for 2025. But thank you so much for spending some time with me today, and I will see you again very soon. Bye.